Come and have a look at this. The Ferai Purosangue has one of the best launch control sequences. I press upon that, it goes into launch. Right, and the car drops down on its suspension, ready for action. I floor the throttle, gives me the revs, but I'm actually not going to launch it right now. I'll do that later in the video to find out how fast it is from 0 to 60 miles an hour. Before then, I'm going to talk you through this car. So the exterior, the interior, how practical it is. I can barely feel anything. I'm going to tell you what's good about it. Could have been a bit what's not so good about it. And of course, I'm going to take it for a drive. Dog liked it. I'm Matt Watson, and you're watching CarWow. Let's start this video by talking about the design of the Purosangue. Now, Ferai says it's not an SUV. I shouldn't call it an SUV, even though it is definitely an SUV. Do you agree with me that it's an SUV? Well, I'll put a comment. It's pinned. Vote. Is it an SUV or not an SUV? It's an SUV. I think it's an SUV. Anyway, let's move on. I like the light design here, this cool light design with the main kind of light is down here and the daytime running lights up here. A trend first started on a Citroen, so Ferrari is copying Citroen with its light design now. Also, everything that looks like a vent is indeed a vent. It's all vintage, it's all real, there's no fakery. You've got two Ferrari badges here, you've got the main one there, like on the sports cars, and then you get an extra one down here as well. Moving down the side, there's more vintage going on here. Look at this, these got air curtains here that help smooth the airflow down the side of the car. Vents in here, and I like the way they've done this cutaway with the wheel arches. It's just interesting, and it makes it look mean. Speaking of which, this car's like fully blacked out really, and these aren't the actual original wheels, these are Novitec wheels. The sizes are the same though, 22s here at the front and 23s at the back. That's what you get as standard. The owner of this car, who's lent it me, Steve Kira, thank you Kira from Kira Solutions, he didn't like the standard wheels, so he upgraded to these. So this car has the crests on the side, and as we go down, look, it's kind of like a big sporty hatchback, isn't it? So maybe it's not an SUV, it's just a big fat sporty hatchback. Don't think Ferrari would want me to call it that. Anyway, who cares? Moving down to the rear, really like the shape of the tail end of this car. Once again, intricate designs here, rear vents, no messing about. Is it the coolest looking SUV? Is it better looking than an Aston Martin DBX? I actually think yes. It's very expensive though. So the starting price, £313,000. So this one though, with all the options, £430,000. And a lot of that added cost is carbon fibre. So I'll just talk you through the carbon fibre on the outside of this car and the price of it. Carbon wheel arches, carbon rear diffuser, carbon under door cover, which I think is Ferrari speak for side skirts, carbon mirrors, carbon splitter. And the total for the exterior is, yeah, there's more optional carbon inside. Carbon sill cover, carbon instrument cover, carbon here and carbon there. And finally the carbon steering wheel pack. That brings the total spent on extra carbon to this. Here on the inside, I do like the design, the way you have like the main dash element there for the driver, then you have like a separate one for the passenger, and this is standard. The only thing is from where I'm sat, right, give me this camera, I cannot see what's on it because it's designed not to distract the driver. So I can't see that, but as when we move that back round, you can sort of see. So Adam, can you operate it to show the kind of things that it displays on there?
Yeah, you can see all the car dials, instruments, you got the radio, the climate control, you got the seats.
Okay, that's enough of that. Anyway, let's move on to my display, all right? Still in the limelight. So here we go, fully digital display. Big digital rev counter, nice and clean. I like how it operates. Do you know what? People have been complaining about Porsche going to a digital rev counter, and Ferrari's been doing it for quite a while now, and no one complained about that. What I will complain about though is this. The actual, the infotainment system is an absolute mess. So I have to control it using these touch sensitive buttons on the steering wheel, which aren't nice to operate. And then it cycles through. It's all a bit laggy and ploppy. Oh, come on, is that working? Work, I don't know. Work, come on, you're supposed to go into, look, is that the way to press it? Not ideal. You have Apple CarPlay now for the first time ever with a Ferrari. Android Auto as well. There is a problem though, so I've got this one on Apple CarPlay. Look, can you spot the problem? I'm going to engage Apple CarPlay. Where's my rev counter? It has gone. Oh, I have to lose Apple CarPlay if I want to see it. Let's go back to main view. They haven't really thought that through, have they? Speaking of which, I don't like all the controls being on the steering wheel and no stalk, such as your indicators up there, your other buttons here, your windscreen wipers and lights all here. Start, stop button here, and not actually being a physical button, it's just like touch sensitive, so yeah. I do like this though, the drive select mode. Look, and it goes to the different options there. Won't moan about that. Another thing I won't moan about is this, look, I just engaged the surround view camera is really handy on this car. Come on, there we go, surround view with bird's eye. Nice. In terms of the interior quality, well, yeah, all the leather feels nice. It's generally got a very expensive luxury vibe to it. Though, there are a few bits where the stitching is a bit skewy. Look at down here, see all that? It's not great. And then it looks like someone missed the actual place for that stitch to go. Same up here, look, it's all a bit wobbly, wibbly, wobbly. It's like they got Lotus to do it. A Lotus from years ago. But, you know, you got a vanity mirror with a little bit of nice kind of blue lighting. And there's some decent practicality in here. So underneath here, we have some cup holders lined with the felt. Plenty of space there. Oh, that's okay, although bigger bottles might topple a bit when you accelerate. Reasonable sized door bins, which you can fit big bottles in. And then underneath here, we have some more storage, and we've got USBs, and there's your old-fashioned 12-volt socket. The glove box is a reasonable size for this kind of vehicle, and once again lined in felt, and it feels expensive. And overall, I like the design of the controls. It's kind of minimalist, yet not overly so. What I'm not so keen on though is this. I don't like having the window switches there. I'd rather they were on the door. Also, this is in some ways good. These are the drive select modes, like with automatic and manual, reverse, launch control. But you expect them to slide forwards and backwards. They don't. You just pull them like that. Can you see? You just press them. And so I'm not so keen on the operation of that. What I do like is what they've done with the climate controls. They're not buried in the screen. They're just all up on here. So you can quickly access stuff. And then you press that out like that to control the fan speed and so on and so forth. I do like that. It's a nice feature, that is. Now, these are called the new, what are they, new age or new form or new something? See, what is it? What are they? It's a weird name for always giving them, but they are really nice. They're quite firm, but at the same time, very, very comfortable. I love Ferrari seats, to tell you the truth.
New style seats.
They're called new style seats, apparently. One thing I don't love so much is this, the way they've put the button to open the door there. The handle's there, so you want to be able to touch it, but it's a stretch like that if you haven't got the largest hands. Minor complaints. In terms of getting an ideal driving position, obviously these new style seats are fully electric, and you can jack the seat up quite high if you want more of an SUV kind of vibe going on, or you could go more sports car by having them almost slammed right in the body of the car. And of course you've got an electrically operated steering wheel like that with quite a decent range of adjustment. And I think that is all you need to know about the interior of this car. Here in the back, you get the same seat design as in the front. Though here, for some reason, they don't feel quite as comfy, and I just don't know why. I'm not sure if it's the fact the base isn't quite so deep. You also seem to sit higher up. These ones, they're electrically operated. Looks like I can move them forwards and backwards, and I can make them more upright or have them reclined, though that's as far as they will recline. Knee room, that's all right. Foot space, that's all right. Headroom, that's not all right. Look, my head's touching that. People over 6 foot will find it a bit of a struggle in the rear of this car. If you need to carry rear occupants in more comfort, you're probably better off with an Aston DBX. And to see my video review of that car, follow the QR code appearing on the screen right now. Alternatively, if you're watching on a mobile phone, just click on the pop-out banner. In terms of other things in the back here, look, we got wireless charging, USB-Cs, you got your operation once again for the windows here on the center console bit, but I do like this. The windows go all the way down. You have a similar climate control thing going on here. This car's the upgraded heated rear seats, and ventilated. So that's good. Oh, I've just turned them on. They're going to make a noise. Let's just turn that off again. Right, let's go away. Go away. Right, here you have some cup holders. Boink. They are in there. There are some door bins. They will fit bottles, but at the moment I'm just fitting my arm in them. You have some little folders on the seat backs as well. And there's your air vents, which seem like they're in an ideal place to blow air up your skirt if you're wearing a skirt. Because it's an SUV, even though Ferrari won't admit it, this is the most practical Ferrari to date. So the luggage capacity is 470 litres. It's good, but not that good for an SUV. Lamborghini Urus's boot is 620 litres. And if you want to watch my full in-depth video review of that car, click on the pop-out banner up there or follow the QR code appearing on the screen now. But let me just show you how practical it is. There is enough room for a full-size man in here. So man, can you get into the car? We'll just check that you can fit in the boot without too much trouble. I am going to shut it Scream if, I don't know, if you are in pain. Don't know why you'd be in pain, shouldn't be. That's all fine. So there's plenty of room for a man. It's a new test, the carwow man in a boot test. Okay, man, please exit. Right, so if you need added practicality and more space, you can fold down the rear seats. It's a bit unusual to do it. You remove this divider, you then give it to said man. Thank you, it's quite heavy that is. And then I'm going to press these buttons here to fold the seats down. Fold, 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 fold. Do the other side as well, come on. Come on, there we go. Bear with me. That is the slowest thing I've ever seen on any Ferrari. Anyhow, then you can carry longer items, though this armrest there sort of makes it a little less practical than it otherwise would be. It just gets in the way when trying to slide things to the front. And that brings us on to 5 annoying things about the new Ferrari, put it the way. The windscreen wipers are so aggressive that if it's been raining and you stood next to the car and someone turns on the wipers, this happens. Brilliant. Well, you can fit this part, come on, of the load cover underneath the false floor. I wish that would just stay up there. Good. Like that, look, that fits, and this bit here as well. Come on. There. That fits. You're not getting this dividery bit in there as well. Like, it just doesn't go. We tried it numerous angles and different ways, it just doesn't fit. So if you want to fold down the seats, you're going to have to carry this separately in the car. There is quite a lot of shiny black plastic trim, which can easily scratch. So if you buy this car, you want to do exactly what Steve has done and have the interior PPF protected as well. This is a super expensive luxury car. Yet, after just 4,000 miles, we're getting this noise from the window. What's that all about? The claimed fuel consumption on this car is 16 miles to the gallon, but I can't verify that because I've looked into the trip computer and I can find no mention or reading for the average economy. It's like Ferrari doesn't actually want to talk about it. However, if we look down here at the fuel gauge, it says we've got about 55% of the tank capacity remaining. The tank capacity is 100 litres, so that 55% will give us 110 miles range. So the car's computer is sort of thinking that it's averaging 2 miles for every litre of fuel, and when you multiply that out to get it into old-fashioned miles per gallon, the reality is this car is averaging 9 miles to the gallon. You can probably afford it if you can afford this car, but it is a bit of an arse having to stop every 200 miles to fill up. And what's even more annoying is, considering you're going to be filling this car up quite a lot, it's a bit of a faff to shut the fuel filler cap. Look. I mean, what is going on here? Finally. Thankfully, this car has plenty of cool features to help make up for all this. The doors on this car are really cool, so the front ones are just normal. Don't get too excited by those. But the rears, look, I love the way you open them. You just flip this little handle there, and they open automatically, and they open backwards, which gives you easier access to just slide yourself in. Look. And then if I press a button up here, you can shut them. Tatty bye. This is the first Ferrari to get hill descent control. Ferrari tries to claim it's not an SUV, but hill descent control kind of undermines that, doesn't it? I think I've just undermined the fact that we're not on a hill at all. For £10,000 extra, you can get a panoramic glass roof, and it has a special shading effect on it. So this is it fully shaded, but if you press a button, you'll see that it goes more transparent. Hello. Also, it's got a special coating as well, a bit like, you know, the goggles that you wear when you're skiing to reduce the amount of heat that comes in from the sun's rays into the cabin. There's electric and hydraulic actuators on each wheel, and they allow the car to control its wheel movements much quicker than in a standard car with adaptive suspension, and that improves the ride and the handling. It also means you can raise and lower the car's ride height quicker than in a car with air suspension, let's say. See, like that, going down. Let's make it go up. There we go. The Purosangue is the only Ferrari available with massage seats. Granted, it's a £3,000 option, but you can't get massage seats even as an option on any other Ferrari. Oh, let's just turn it up to max and have a feel. Are they any good? Yeah, you can sort of tell it's Ferrari's first go at this because I can barely feel anything. The Purosangue is only available with one engine, but it's an absolute belter. So is the way you actually access it. This front hinged, huge bonnet, front engine, but you can see the engine is so far back in the car, it's way behind the front axle. It's a 6.5 litre naturally aspirated V12 that puts out a whopping 725 horsepower, 716 newton meters of torque. Mainly drives the rear wheels via a prop shaft and an 8-speed dual clutch automatic gearbox, but it also has drive coming off the front with a 2-speed gearbox that can send power to the front axle as well. However, once you're beyond 5th gear, the car just reverts to fully rear wheel drive. But anyway, let's have a little listen to it. Oh, lovely. Right, let's just slow things down a bit now and go for a little drive in this car. I'm actually going to leave the engine program in sport, but I'm going to press the button for the suspension to make it soft. There we go. I could leave it in auto mode like it is now, and it does a good job. I'm going to go in manual because even when I'm going slow, I can then have some fun with the car, just flipping through the gears like that, because the feeling of the pedals is very, very nice. Just the tactility of them just adds an element of involvement to the proceedings. There's a little speed hump. The car feels firm, it feels kind of taut and ready to pounce, but with the suspension in the soft setting, it's not annoying, it's not jarring. Visibility wise, pretty good at the front, and I'm sitting in the lowest position. Big door mirrors, yeah, blind spot here. Issue is the back window. For an SUV, it's not that big, but for a Ferrari, you actually get a really good view out. So, you know, think of it what you will. In terms of the manoeuvrability, well, I'm going to try and do a U-turny thingy here. In fact, I'll do a 360 and we'll see what it's like. Ferrari doesn't quote the turning circle, so I don't know what it's like. We're just going to have to try it for ourselves. So this could cause chaos, but let's find out. Here we go. Can I make it round in this space? Fortunately, we've got low curbs, but so if there were curbs, I'll be scuppered. But will I make it round here? Sort of made it round all right, but I was saved by the low curbs. We do have rear axle steering on this thing, but once again, I don't know the exact way it operates. I'd imagine lower speed, back wheels go in the opposite direction of the fronts to tighten the turning circle, and then at higher speed, go in the same direction to just make the car turn into a corner quicker. It's all very nice, this. Yeah, definitely preferring it in manual. Go auto just for the hell of it. What's the change down when you're coming to a standstill? Sometimes with dual clutch automatic gearboxes they can be jarring, but this one, yeah, I think Ferrari know what they're doing with dual clutch automatic gearboxes. Look at that. I mean, that just changed from second to third without me knowing anything about it. But once again, let's go manual. When it did that thing where I can just pull in both pedals and it'll rev up, yeah. Oh, look how quick it revs. Wow. Everyone's looking at me like I'm a knobhead, and they are completely correct. Do you know what? We've gone past quite a few people, apart from when I was revving the engine, it didn't really turn many heads. Now, is that a good thing or a bad thing? You know, in this black, it's quite stealthy, and while it is a pretty looking car, it's not in your face. I think it's a good thing. Anyway, let's head out of the town now, because this is not the best place to enjoy this Ferrari, even though this is the most enjoyable Ferrari for driving in a location such as this. So it clearly is the most usable Ferrari. Let's just annoy these people with some revs. Dog liked it, pricked his ears up. Even though he was a German dog, he likes the Italian car. Actually, that was very sexist of me, could have been a bitch. Oh, now that's interesting. When you hit bigger bumps, you do get quite a douche. And there, it can feel a bit lumpy. I do think that the air suspension that you get on something like a Bentley Bentayga Speed does just deal with bumps so much better. If you want to see my full in-depth video review of that car, just click on the pop-out banner or follow the QR code on the screen now. Okay, here we go then. Oh, what the Bentley doesn't have is that engine noise. Whoa. It's mad having this engine in an SUV. Sorry, it's not an SUV, but it is an SUV. Oh. And you know what? It feels quite manic. That's quite interesting about it actually. So you don't have the wallop of torque that you get from like the turbocharged SUVs. Instead you chase the revs. You actually find yourself going surprisingly quicker than you think because you've gone through the rev range and you look down at the speedometer and you're like, oh my gosh, that is a lot of speed. Despite the speed though, you know, you go into a corner and it really does just stay completely flat. It's so responsive for an SUV. I think it is the most responsive of all the sporty SUVs I've driven. There's no getting away from the weight though, and the raised driving position and the raised centre of gravity. At some point, it's just going to start pushing wide in a corner. You know, Ferrari quote like just over 2 tons, but that's dry weight. So wet weight with fluids and stuff, you know, it's over 2.1 tons, which is heavy for a Ferrari. It just is. But all these SUVs, they're even heavier. It is the sportiest SUV to drive, I do think. Whoa, this thing pulls. And it's so much fun to rev out. There is one complaint, it's that I find the brakes a little bit grabby when you first touch them. But after that, the pedal feel is very, very consistent and they're strong. I love the fact that you get carbon ceramics as standard on Ferraris. It's absolutely the way it should be. So if you're driving to the Alps and you're doing hairpin after hairpin, you're not going to get any fade and drop off the edge of a mountain. There is another thing about it. While it's the sportiest, unless the conditions are dry, then it can be one of the scariest. In fact, it does just feel like a Ferrari sports car when you are driving it slightly quickly in the wet. The setup of the four-wheel drive system means that most of the time it just drives like a rear-wheel drive car. And so if you put your foot down suddenly in the wet, it can step on you. I had that earlier, it just went sideways on me, even though I was in sports setting, not with the stability all the way off, and it was quite frightening. I did manage to gather it back up again, so it was fine. But you do notice if the conditions aren't quite perfect and the road is a bit bumpy, it's sort of like tram lines quite a bit when you're accelerating. Now my viewpoint on that is a bit mixed, so it does have an edge to it. You do have to have your wits about you with it. That does mean that it's definitely engaging, and it does give it a feeling that it's more like a sports car than a sports utility vehicle. It really does. It's just got that really racy feel to it that you'd expect from a Ferrari. It is an experience driving this, it is an occasion, and yet it's something that you can experience every single day because it's just far more usable than any other Ferrari to date. But there is a way that it's just like every other Ferrari to date. One of the good things about Ferraris is that when you turn the stability control off really is off. So good. Nicely balanced as well. Now four-wheel drive vehicles can sometimes pull you straight really badly, but this really does like to play. According to Ferrari, the Purosangue will do 0 to 60 in 3.3 seconds, but let's find out for ourselves. I'm going to use my specialist timing gear, left foot on the brake, launch it. Oh, drops down on the suspension. Here we go. Oh, it doesn't like it. Oh, skippity skip. 4.3 seconds, not 3.3. Oh, let's just push on to the quarter mile. 12.29. And that's all down to the surface being wet. I'm going to give it one more go. Let's go the other direction. Maybe it's a bit dry this way. Oh no, it's not. Here we go again. It's not liking it. Oh, launch. There we go. Come on, hook. That's better. 4. It's getting better all the time. I'm going to give it one more go. See if we can get in the 3s. Now one of the clever things about this car is that the stability control learns the surface, so it should get better with this go. Learning every single launch. And go. Yeah, that's better. 4.02 by a small amount. Let's see what we'll do on the quarter. 12. Let's get it under 12 for the quarter. Come on. Is this a bit drier here? Show me what you've learned, Ferrari. That was better. Yeah, 3.85. Going to keep on going for the quarter mile. There we go, 11.82. So, not quite what Ferrari said, but they obviously tested the car in the dry. So then, what's my final verdict on the new Ferrari Purosangue? Should you avoid it? Should you consider it? Should you shortlist it? Or should you just go right ahead and buy it? Well, if you get the opportunity, you should just go right ahead and buy it because you could sell it the next day for a profit, but that's not the real reason. I think you should go right ahead and buy it because it's such a special feeling car for an SUV, even though it's not an SUV, but it is an SUV, though it's the only SUV with a naturally aspirated V12 and that feels genuinely sporty to drive.